This Impact Wrestling review was brought to you by Direct Auto Insurance. Try it, and you'll... Wait. What? 5-hour energy. Oh, yeah. There it is, right on the screen there. Oh boy, this is awkward. Well, chalk this one up to carelessness on my part. Can we re-record this then? We can't? What do you mean we can't? This is live? What are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense. Look, you can't do this to me. I am not going to be embarrassed by some stupid mistake that you didn't. Alright, TNA, this was more like it. I don't know why you were keeping this one in your pocket for so long, but this is what I've been talking about. Excitement, surprises, a real sense of importance and urgency. They were all back this week. Do more impacts like this. I really have to give the writers credit on this one because that build up to those final moments was done beautifully. I was on the edge of my seat, and that's not a hyperbole at all. Building it up from the beginning to the end, weaving different storylines through it, lots of twists and turns, this was really well done. They start last week. Sting and Angle have the 6-man tag with the Aces and Eights, and they want AJ Styles on their team. They need AJ. Gotta get AJ. AJ is the linchpin to the whole thing. Opening segment this week, they call out AJ. Sting tries to convince him to join them. It looks like he might be considering it a little bit, but Angle gets too hot-headed and he blows it. So AJ's out. Aces and Eights attack Sting. Now the faces have a real problem. Hogan gets a text from some kind of wild card, but Sting and Angle are like, that guy isn't here, Hogan, we can't bank on this. What about Magnus? Magnus just beat Doc in that match earlier. Magnus is the man, he's the guy we need. So what happens then? Aces and Eights take out Magnus. Again.
Urge to kill rising.
So now Sting and Angle are really up shit creek. They got no one else to team with. They got to go into this match 2-on-3. And it's funny how Sting could easily demolish all the Aces and Eights a couple weeks ago, but here, 3 of them were too much to handle, even with Kurt Angle out there with him. I guess the big black bat was the difference maker. So Sting and Angle are getting overwhelmed. Then they cut to a commercial with someone having destroyed the Aces and Eights backstage. Awesome cliffhanger. They come back. Sting's about to go through a table, and then... Abyss. He takes out all the heels, Anderson goes through a table, which you'd think would be a DQ, but apparently not. Black hole slam on Devon, the babyfaces win. This was great for so many reasons. First of all, I was expecting Jeff Hardy, but Hardy didn't need something like this, whereas Abyss can get a big rub from it. It was like for one night, TNA finally realized how they need to use these established stars. You don't use them as the only guys who can get anything done, you use them to make the homegrown guys famous. A guy like Abyss saving Sting and Angle's asses just when they were completely screwed, that does a hell of a lot for Abyss. And he'd been gone so long by that point that it really felt shocking when he appeared. I thought this whole thing was dynamite. Although, the way Magnus keeps getting derailed is really starting to irritate me. By the way, Abyss never actually tagged into the match. He was not the legal man. Just putting that out there. Mickie James and Velvet Sky versus Gail Kim and Tara. Still no sign of that Mickie heel turn anywhere. Still waiting on that one, TNA. The match is short and not that interesting, but afterward Gail got pissed at Tara for getting pinned and wrapped her around the ring post with that figure 4 like she did with Taryn Terrell. So Gail's developing kind of an anger problem, isolating herself from faces and heels alike. That's interesting. At least it's some kind of character development or storyline, both of which have been kind of missing from the Knockout division lately, so I like that. If it's building up to something, good. But we need to have some kind of idea of what it's building up to, otherwise it's hard to get invested. And I really hope the end game for this is not another Gail Kim Velvet Sky feud. No offense to either of them, but we've seen that enough. It's time for something new. In fact, In a weird way, I would honestly prefer Velvet Sky versus Taryn Terrell at Slammiversary. I mean, yeah, that match wouldn't be nearly as good, and you could certainly argue that Taryn isn't ready for a spot like that, but at least it would be something we haven't seen before. In-ring segment with the Aces and Eights, where they're this close to telling D'Lo Brown to hit the bricks after Angle made him say I quit last week. And this leads to another segment, which leads to a backstage pre-tape later on. I do like that we're starting to see some cracks form in the Aces and Eights infrastructure. Bully Ray has decided that they need to weed out the crap, and that's a great move. That should have happened before this faction even debuted. There's too many people in it that don't mean anything, and it waters down the concept. That said, if Bully Ray is getting rid of any weak links in the group, why he didn't start with Garrett Bischoff, I have no earthly clue.
Oh, you were not aware of this?
This should have been really simple in my opinion. D'Lo was fired from TNA management. He's of no real use to the Aces and Eights anymore, so just tell him to piss off and have that be the end of it. Why are we devoting so much attention to this? I assume it's all going somewhere, but still, this is an awful lot of time to be spending on D'Lo Brown of all people.
Your posterior better contact someone at once.
Then again, maybe I shouldn't complain, because he interferes in Magnus versus Doc, which leads to Magnus getting the pin. And it was really nice to see Magnus win a match. It sounds silly, but TNA have been telling us since the UK tour that Magnus is a big star on the rise, future world champion and all that, which is terrific. But the booking hasn't backed it up. His singles push keeps getting stalled over and over again. This week was the third time the Aces and Eights have taken him out. And I guess now he'll be gone for another couple of weeks, and isn't that overkill? Was it really necessary to do this to Magnus so many times? When is he going to get payback on these guys? When is he going to get that TV title? TNA, if you think this guy can be a big star for you, it's time to get off your asses and start pushing him like one.
And if you're not down with that, we have 2 words for you. You're welcome!
Bad Influence and the Wet Dream Team have pre-tapes with James Storm trying to get on his good side so he'll let the #1 contenders match go in their favor. Of course it's all fruitless and we knew that, but I didn't even care. This was really entertaining stuff. I cracked up at the 3-chin line, by the way. That was great. And then, finally, at long last, we got the tag team match that we've been waiting for. In this corner, Bad Influence. In this corner, Bad Influence. Oh, Christy Hemme.
I'm laughing at you.
The Wet Dream Team, Bad Influence, and best of all, Los Stereotypicos are nowhere to be seen.
Yes! 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 Yes!
The crowd was really quiet for a lot of this. That pissed me the hell off. This is the tag team feud we've been waiting for, and the audience won't make any noise just because it's 2 heel teams. Come on! If they were in Smart Mark Town, that crowd would have been going bonkers. Stupid fans couldn't appreciate what they got here.
You people are fools!
At least they woke up by the end of the match. And this was a lot of fun, with both teams trying to out-heel each other and James Storm not having any of it. And I'm of 2 minds about Storm being the referee here. I guess it does factor into whatever story they're telling with him and Bad Influence, but if he's got heat with both teams, then he's not going to go in favor of one or the other, so it's basically the same thing as if they used a normal referee, except he can super kick the wrestlers if he wants to. So it kind of felt like there was too much focus on Storm as the referee here when I wanted it to be on these 2 teams. But I've got no problem with the match being thrown out because, with any luck, that means we get to see it again later, fingers crossed. Hopefully, again, without Los Stereotypicos.
You guys suck.
By the way, am I the only one who thought it was funny that TNA finally had a referee that wasn't acting like he's blind when the heels do underhanded stuff, and it was the guy who's drunk all the time? That just made me laugh. Our X Division champ Kenny King comes out, and he had something very unusual for an X Division competitor. He had a microphone. An X Division talking segment? Can it be? My God, it's been so long, I don't even know how to process this. but I was happy to see it, I'll tell you that. Kenny King cuts a promo, and he gets to show his charisma, gets to show his personality. He calls out Chris Sabin, and they hype up their title match next week. Not with a random spot fest with no story attached, but in a way that can actually make you care about it. Now Sabin's got more of a reason to beat Kenny King other than just wanting the title. This was great. This is what the X Division has been missing. Promos, feuds, characters you can connect with. I mean, yeah, the matches have been great, but if there's a drawback to these new triple threat rules, it's that they tend to really hinder actual storylines and individual rivalries. But they started to address that here. Now we've got someone to hate, we got someone to root for reasons beyond just what they do in the ring. We need more X Division segments like this. Stuff like this is going to do a lot more to get these guys over than the 4-minute spot fests every week, as fun as those are to watch. So, a great segment from King and Sabin here. The only thing missing was Petey Williams, because he's in that match too, in case anyone forgot. Something else that was really cool this week. TNA are going to be starting a tournament with all the male gut check winners to earn a spot in the Bound for Glory series. I love this idea. I can't think of a better way to introduce a new star. Having him do well in the BFG series could put a guy on the map real easily. And he wouldn't have to win or anything. I mean, he'd just have to make a good showing for himself. A guy like Jay Bradley making it to the Final Four, that could do wonders for him, provided they followed up on it the right way. And yeah, I do think Jay Bradley needs to get the nod here. I think he's the most ready of the gut check winners. He's got the biggest upside. Of course, it depends what TNA want. And do they want someone who can make an impact in the tournament and do really well? Or someone to fill the Robbie E spot where he's really just there to job to people? We'll find out soon enough, but my vote is for Jay Bradley, 100%. And honestly, I don't know why that guy's not on Impact right now. Little nitpicks aside, I thought this was easily the best Impact we've seen in a while. Even though the wrestling wasn't really anything memorable, from a creative standpoint they nailed it. The pacing was tight, it felt like there were things at stake, a talking segment for the X Division, there was actual storyline progression, they didn't beat us over the head with redundant video packages, Robbie E., Rob Terry, and Los Stereotypicos did not appear! Yes! Give us more shows like this one, TNA. And one last thing. TNA is doing this thing called the Impact Fan Commentator, where they pick 2 people on Twitter and put them on a list, have them live tweet during the show, and then have people vote on which person they want to see come back next week and do it again. It was probably just dumb luck, but I got chosen as one of the 2. And that might not sound like a big deal, but it does mean that TNA is reading my tweets while I'm doing this. I got a couple of retweets from Impact Wrestling during the show, and I think that's pretty damn cool. So, I want to beat this other guy and come back next week. And if you want that to happen, you gotta vote, okay? So I'm going to put a link in the description box down below. Click on the link and vote for me. I'd very much appreciate it. So stay tuned on that one. That's all for now. I'll see you next week. Later.
But let me just get to the point of my promo tonight. Fourth Dimension 4 Killer wants an answer. Well...
Well. Terminator NJ still won't accept my challenge. There's a shock. And I told you this would happen. He talks a big game, but that's all it is. A bunch of talk. The second I threw the gauntlet down, he backed off. This guy is a classic example of what happens when someone starts to believe their own hype. And the really hilarious thing about that is that it was my hype he was piggybacking on in the first place. See, what people need to realize is that I'm an original. The first and the best. In the relatively short time I've been here, look at everything I've accomplished. I didn't just invade this channel. I didn't just take it over. I revolutionized it. All the amazing innovations made around here since then, my doing.
No, that's impossible! I don't believe it! Ah, a non-believer, are you? Well, here. How do I look now? Higher video quality! You monster!
What I've accomplished has never been done before or since in the IWC. I'm a pioneer. But, as is often the case, greatness inspires copycats. It wasn't long before the hacks started coming out of the woodwork, took a look at what I was doing, and tried to cash in. Made a few half-assed tweaks to my signature look, took a page or two from a dying film franchise, and lo and behold, Terminator NJ. And what makes me laugh about this whole thing is that people saw right through it. From day one, people were saying this clown was a ripoff of me. Did he do anything to dissuade them? No. He never even tried. Because he knew it was the truth. There was never any mental acumen behind him. He's nothing but a common thug. Beating up a bunch of nobodies, making empty threats, that's all he's really got. That's all he's ever had. If he ever even attempted the masterwork of psychological chess that I played you and the rest of the IWC with for the last 8 months, his head would probably shoot right off his neck. That's why he did not accept my challenge. That's why he will not accept my challenge. Because deep down he knows that a cheap imitation can never measure up to the real thing, and it terrifies him. I give him 1 week. 1 more week before he sticks his tail between his legs and gets the hell out of Dodge. And then, finally, there will be no question about who the one true king really is. You know, some people say that you're just a ripoff of Dr. Insano. Fuck off.